Good morning, crafty friends. Happy Saturday. Welcome to Stamp and Create with Beth. I'm Beth Roy, an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator. So if you pop in, say good morning. If you're new to watching, let me know where you're watching from. We'd love to get to know you. If you're watching the replay or you're over on YouTube watching the replay, please say hello. Today is Saturday, September 6th, 2025. And I'm just going to give it a minute. I wanted to point out that the September paper pumpkin, you have about 4 more days. So you have to subscribe by the 10th of September to get this kit right here. And it is going to coordinate with some of the pieces I'm using today. Paper Pumpkin has a quarterly die set, and that is what this add-on is. So this is the last month that this die set will coordinate. It has a flower, a leaf. It has something to cut out the strawberry from the July kit, but it also can make an acorn with these 2 pieces. It has a stitch circle and a hello word die. So a great value there. You do have to be a Paper Pumpkin subscriber to buy the die set, but that can be found in my online store. So now today I am going to do a one sheet wonder, and what that is just a sheet of paper. Sorry, I'm going to adjust this just a little bit. It's just taking a patterned piece of paper and chopping that up and making a set of cards. So our new mini catalog, September to December 2025, just went live on September 3rd, so I can finally show you the inside. And we just did a training on this, but Stampin' Up! Has given us an idea for a one sheet wonder right here in our catalog, and it made 6 cards. So it is using this set, this Autumn Toile. It is absolutely gorgeous. Lots of beautiful fall colors. And I do have one of the stamp sets, this Amber Autumn. This Autumn Trees is on the way, but I don't have it just yet. And the paper pack is just so pretty. So it has 8 patterns, which typically we have 6, and you only get 2 of each. So we have, they're double-sided, so since we have 4 patterns, you get 3 sheets of each pattern, which is awesome. I love it, because once you see it, you're going to see it is so pretty. Now, I don't have some of these elements I have coming. I don't have all of them. You can buy the bits and pieces of the suite, or you can order the whole suite under one number, and you'll get all of these things listed. So there is some earthen toned metallic. It's very pretty. It's kind of a brown gold. It's so pretty. Anyway, so we're going to be using this paper today, and we're going to be using this one sheet wonder. Good morning, Linda. And so Stampin' Up! Did a training with some of their employees and demonstrator, I forget what they're called, DDMs, demonstrator managers. And so they showed us all different kinds of cards and different papers and how they used this cut up piece from right here to make cards. And you'll find those right here. So I'll tell you which one coordinates, but you can change it up however you want. So this is just a starting point. And this paper is gorgeous. Let's see. Yeah, that's it for this one. So if you want that suite or parts of this suite, the Autumn Toile, you can find that in my online store. So let me share with you the first set that I made. Good morning, Christy. And I'm just going to go through these really quick, and then I'm going to tell you about these stamp sets. So this is the first card. So I kept it really simple, and I just used a layered greeting. Let me show you. Let me keep this page out so you can see how Stampin' Up used it. So our catalog is great for ideas. If you need one of these catalogs and you don't have one, you didn't get one from another demonstrator, please message me and I can get one to you. So, excuse me. On their number one, so that it's from this cut of right here, they did a little collage here, an embellishment collage, and they used a blending brush to add, excuse me, ink to this white layer. And so you get a really different look. Now, I didn't do that technique because I used this piece of paper and it already had a dark background. I could have inked it, but I chose just to keep it really simple. So when you see ideas like this, you can change it up to however you want. The second card is right here. They used blends to color in the trees. So I'll show you this paper. It's very pretty. And I used my watercolor pencils and added color to this. And then again, they had a little cluster with some ribbon, and I just kept it simple. Coffee break. My throat's giving out on me here. So on the third card, they used a die cut, which I will show you. And they used the paper to cut out the images. And then there's some dies in those tree dies that do deer, and they use that metallic paper. So I did something different. I did do a shape, but I die cut my paper, then I flipped the negative over, and then I popped this up, and I just did a little bit of the freestanding die cuts. I'll show you those as well. Layout 4 uses a couple pieces, and they did this really fun technique where they took the patterned paper and used a large die to cut a shape. So since I don't have the tree yet, I used a leaf die, and I'm going to show you these dies. I bought them because they have 2 large leaf dies. And this product, this Gathering Moments, is an online exclusive product. So it does come as a suite, but I just got the stamp set. So I used the same idea, and I just changed it up and made it my own. The 5th card is right here, and it has some of it layered and some other elements. So that's how I adapted it. It uses these 2 pieces right here, and I actually cut mine down, and then I used the extra bits on the inside of my card. So there's lots of ways you can change this up. And then here's card 6. I turned mine to landscape instead of portrait. And again, I used that strip on the inside that I had left over. So are you guys ready to dig in and make some cards today? Let's talk about this paper for a second here. I'm going to try to keep that handy. So I use this Amber Autumn. It is part of the Autumn Toile suite, and it has these really pretty dies. And this die right here is what they used on the background of that card. They just used a tone on tone. So it's a really pretty leaf detailed. And then it has some freestanding dies. It has this little, I don't know if that's wheat or a cattail. I'm not sure exactly what that's supposed to be, but use it how you want. And then it has a leaf here, and then it cuts out these two images. So I like the fonts in these, and I like that I can color these. So there's that set. Now this is an online set, Gathering Moments. It is, I don't have my paper over here. I'm not sure the exact name, but it is an online exclusive. So if you search this, it's going to show you that it's part of a suite, and you can click on that and see all the product. There is a paper that goes with this and some other things. But I just wanted this. I loved these images, and it's a distinctive stamp. So it has all this very detail just with one inking. But it also has these dies that coordinate with the images, but then it has these two very large leaf dies. And I wanted to use those. And there's a kit that made me want that. And I'll show you guys that on Tuesday when I do my walkthrough of the catalog. Good morning, Dad. Okay, I was just tagging someone. I think they can't find us. So this is the Autumn Toile paper. And I want to use this piece right here with all these beautiful pumpkins, and we see the little corn patch here. Or what would that be? Would you call it a little tiny section of corn a patch? But it also has some pumpkins, and it has some of those other images. So I want to use that piece, but this paper, if you got my paper share, this is on the way, and you're going to get a good bit of this because there's less patterns. So we have this one. It's very masculine feeling to me, but I love it because I love the woods, and I love the nature and the animals. So it has some deer and trees, and then the other side, the B side, is just a pattern. Good morning, Maggie, and good morning, Deb. Yes, Linda, that set is red rubber. So as you can see, you get 3 sheets of each. So here's that pheasant sheet. I love this, and I love the coloring. And so the back side is that other one. Then we have the pumpkins, and I love this side. I've actually seen some Christmas cards with this. So, and then it has a red fox, or, well, it's a red fox, but it's Cajun Craze. And I don't know if you guys can see this very well. Let me pull it out. It is really pretty. And I love that it's kind of tone on tone. It's very bold. And then the B side is a striped. I love this. Love it. So those are the patterns. And the B sides, all those, just different patterns, like neutral patterns, they could be used all year long for lots of things. So you're going to want to get that paper. But today I want to use this piece. I really love this. Let me pull it up so you can really see it. It looks like linen. See that little detail? And I just love the watercolored look. So we are going to use our pattern, and I have lots of bits over here. Okay. I have lots and lots of bits that we might want to add in. Here's that leaf die that comes with this set. And then here's my Gathering Moments leaves, and I just have them already stamped and die cut so that we can throw these cards together quickly. So if you're gathering things, you don't have to use die cuts and all the extras. You could just add a greeting. So when I cut this, you could just add a greeting. You can just use your trimmer. You do not have to use the circles and the die cuts. So they gave us this to go with our cards. And this shows an oval, but I'm not even sure if we have an oval die. And so you can change this however you want. So you can make this a square. You can leave the circles off. Okay. You can do whatever you want. So let's just have some fun and see where it goes. So what Linda was asking, I do want to tell you about this update. I have posted about it. The Stampin' Up! Is discontinuing these red rubber stamps. So the material is getting harder to source. So they have decided to transition to all photopolymer stamps. And these cases will actually change. So our stamps will actually come in envelopes like this. Not exact. They're going to be a little bit wider, but they will come in envelopes like this, and they'll still have the imagery just like this, but they'll be, slim packaging, which means you'll have more storage room. You can still buy these cases in a 4-pack, excuse me, while they can still provide them. So, that's subject to change in the future, but you could put your stamps into these cases. I, for one, am excited for the change. And I do love these cases. You can buy either one, and you'll be able to buy the stamp packaging as well if you want to transition some of your photopolymers over to the envelopes. So all the cling stamps will retire, excuse me, by April 2026. So if there is a cling stamp that's in the mini catalog, it will retire. And I know that's sad, but sets that I like, I'm going to keep. That's not going to make any difference to me. It's just moving forward for how Stampin' Up! Is releasing products. So in November, all of our online exclusives will be photopolymer. They will continue to make the cling stamps as long as they can get quality materials. And should something happen in the future, I will make sure you have updates about anything that would be changing. Deb, I got my clear folders on Amazon. I'm currently testing a couple different brands to see which one I like best and which one I feel like holds up for my paper. I'm finding that it's easier to store it that way than in the original packaging because once I cut it open, it tears. So this is going to help me keep track of my scraps and my papers better. Okay, you guys ready to get cutting? So you will need a trimmer. If you're cutting along with me, grab your trimmer and get ready to cut your pattern piece. And excuse me about my throat. It is very gloomy here today. And it seems to be affecting my voice. Okay, so to cut this, and I'm going to show you this print off that Stampin' Up! Gave us. Or gave demonstrators. So we're going to make 2 cuts that are at 4 inches so that we have 3 4x12 strips. So depending on how you want your cards to look, you can either cut it portrait style at 4 inches. Okay, that means this side's going to be long and this side's going to be short. This side's going to be the 4-inch. If you want landscape cards, you're going to want to turn your design and cut at the 4-inch here. So I thought about this long and hard yesterday about how I wanted to make these cards. So I like to lay it in my trimmer and think about where it's cutting and what images I'm going to have. Up here, this section is going to become, up here, this section, or I guess it could be here, you could switch this around, is going to be a little strip that we flip over and use the other pattern. So you're using both sides of the pattern. So this is something to think about as you're planning. Maybe you want, so this would be, right here, and it would be a landscape pattern, or you can turn it and see, if you would like the portrait pattern. So you're going to get more variety this way, where the other way it might be you know, a little more of that specific scene, because this has some repeating patterns, so it's up to you. And we're going to actually vote on that before I cut it. So I'm going to let you guys kind of get in on this, and some things I already have done and we're just going to throw it together, but so I want you to kind of decide, which way did you think this was going to cut better? Portrait. So number 1 will be portrait, and remember, we're cutting 3 4-inch by 12-inch strips, and then we're going to turn and cut these other pieces. And this strip and this strip is the same, so you can interchange the 1 2 3 4 5 and mix them around based on how we're making our cards. Okay. Good morning, Joan. So 1 is portrait, okay, and 2 is landscape. And I'm just kind of laying this here so you can see how it would cut. So our card base would be, most of the cards would have to be like this versus this. So you might have to get creative if you're turning this on the side, because we're going to have elements that change. Now, you could change these up and use those elements in a different way, completely up to you. But if you choose landscape B, or I'm sorry, 2, I said 2, didn't I? It's going to be mostly cards like this. And some of the pieces you can still change them even if you cut it portrait, but the majority of your pattern, so let me show you really quickly. Get my catalog page back out. So you can see they flipped over. This would be for card 5, this is for card 4, and this is for card 6. So they flipped over these pieces. So all of the 4-inch by 5 and 1/4 inch, those are all your patterned piece. So that's going to help you decide how you want it to go. Oh, I think everybody wants to do portrait. All right, well, let's get cutting. So if you're cutting along with me, the first thing I'm going to do, can you guys see what I'm doing? I'm just going to start at 4 inches. And I'm going to start cutting. So there's strip 1. Strip 2. So there's my 3 strips, okay? So these 2 would be cut the same. And then we have this middle strip. So I'm just going to go from the top down and start cutting. So the first cut is at 1.5. So I'm going to put my strip in here at 1.5. Okay. And this is going to go this way, and we can cut these down. Remember, on the other one, I cut them down because I didn't want my seams covered up. So you can change it as well. Our next cut is at 5 1/4. It goes like that. Our second row of 4 by 12-inch piece, we're going to cut at 3 3/4. So you can change these around, okay? So as I'm looking at my cutting guide, if I measure this to 3 3/4 and I think, I don't really like that, change it and cut it at a different size, okay? And then just make the other 2 cuts. As long as you cut, one is 3 3/4, one is 5 1/4, and one is 3, it does not matter which order you do them in. It's completely up to you, okay? So when you're looking at this on something like this, you can change those around, okay? Don't overthink it too much. So I'm going to cut at 3 3/4. Okay, and remember this piece, I kind of like that piece, but it's going to get turned over. So we can change our mind when we get to this card, okay? We can turn any of these over that weren't turned over to begin with. We can change it up. The next cut is at 5 1/4. And that's going to leave us this 4 by 3 piece. I just love all of these scenes, but I like this pattern as well. Okay, and then our last one is going to be cut exactly like the first one. So we're going to go to 1 1/2. Let's see, 1 1/2. That's cute, isn't it? We're supposed to turn it over, but we might change our minds. And then 5 1/4. So we have these two. Okay, so let me lay those out so you can see them. And I'm going to show you the card bases I picked. So again, if you're making your cards and you decide that you want to layer something differently, you don't have to leave this turned over. You can use the other side, okay? Okay, are you guys ready? Let me bring in my colors here. I have this piece, and then I have some Very Vanilla. So I forgot to tell you the colors that were on this. It's Very Vanilla, Gray Granite, Pecan Pie, Mossy Meadow, and Cajun Craze. But I threw in an Old Olive in here just in case we want to brighten something. So the colors in the paper are Cajun Craze, Early Espresso, Gray Granite, Mossy Meadow, Pecan Pie, and Very Vanilla. Now on the first set of cards I made, there is some white in there. I think it looks more white than it does Very Vanilla. But use whatever colors you like. So I brought in a variety of colors, and we're going to mix and match. And I forgot to bring my Very Vanilla pieces over for the inside. So I might have to grab a piece of that when we're all done and cut some inside pieces. Okay, so let me look. This would be for card 1. And card 1, remember, it was just really simple with a greeting. So I have all these bits and pieces that I've colored and little leaves that I have die cut. So we're going to see what we want to tuck in here. So our outline shows a circle and something over top. Like this. So it has a cluster. You could use a circle, you could use another pattern or something embossed, and then it has a greeting. I am not going to sponge or blend ink onto my page. So each one of these shows you a technique. You do not have to do all of those. So I have my trusty die cuts here. I do have a circle. If we want to stamp our greeting on a circle, which is what I did on my first example, and I used a colored strip behind it, or we can stamp a small greeting on something like that. And you can use strips of paper too. And we can add in a pumpkin. So my pumpkins don't look as dark. I used watercolor pencils, and I did use Cajun Craze, but they look a little redder on here. So you can use blends if you want. I've just used the watercolor pencils. So you can kind of see, we can make it darker too. And then you would add your greeting like that. What do you think? Do you like it with an embellishment, or let me see what color circles I have in here. I think I have a basic beige. That might look okay with it. I have a little basic beige circle here, and we could add a couple leaves. I like these leaves as well. This is from that other set. But I think the style is okay. It goes together. So you could, let's just see, maybe add a couple leaves with your circle. The circle is just kind of holding them there, kind of giving them some place to rest, and then a greeting, kind of like that. I don't want to take away from this too much. And now let's see, which base do I want? Let me try it with a neutral. This is probably the hardest part, is deciding how you want those to go. I really like that. That's really pretty. Okay, that's number one. So I'm going to set this to the side for a second, and we're going to go to number two. And number two, was where we colored. I colored in, and because these are already colored in, I'm going to just kind of leave that as is. And I'm going to bring in a neutral base. So I don't know what I just grabbed, but here's number two. And I'm just going to add a greeting. Maybe some strips of paper and a greeting, and leave it pretty simple. And I like to add my greetings. I change where I add it. So in the example, it shows your greeting clear at the top. But I think I just want to add something right here so it's in the middle. So we'll decide that as we go. A circle behind the pumpkins. You mean these? And I don't have a lot of these colors, so I can always quickly die cut something. But we'll see. Okay, so these are number 5. So they go together. And they go with this. So I'm going to put that over here. This is number 6. And these two are supposed to go together. Like that. And then this is number 3. So on number 3, the technique that they show us in the catalog is this layered piece. And then you cut out images from here. So that's why I said if you don't like what this one looks like, switch it out. Maybe you want an image that has the cornfield, which is so I'm going to change this. I'm going to change this up. Because I want to cut around this and use this piece right here to lay on top of this piece. So it shows that we're going to basically layer things on number 3. And then it has a greeting. And so I can use several of these cut out and layer that to create a little scene on top of this. And I just have to decide what color base I want. So let's see. I don't know if I like that. This is going to show through. Maybe this would look best. So this color is going to show through, and you're going to cut around and add this on top. I don't want it too dark. No. All right, we're going to keep that one very vanilla. So I'm just kind of stacking these together. Number 4, I'm going to show you. I have my cut and emboss over here. I want to use one of these large leaves to cut a scene like I did on the other one. I used this maple. This oak leaf is really cool. So you can kind of put this on your page and see where it's going to cut and which one you like best. So you're just going to grab some of those images and it's going to layer on top of this pattern. So whatever you cut, however you cut it, it's going to layer on top of this like I did on this one. And then we need to bring in 2 strips of paper. We don't have to. That's what our directions tell us for card 4. But you can change it up. So if you don't like the 2 strips of paper, or you can use a pattern, or you can stamp something, it just helps break up those layers. Okay? So change it up how you like. I just have to decide which one I want to use, and then I'm going to show you how to cut it. So you can put this on. I will tell you the maple leaf is a little bit harder to kind of get what you want because it's wider than 4 inches. So you can do it up here like this. If you want this big pumpkin cluster, you'll have to kind of turn it around. But you can see, you can turn it, and you're just trying to get as many of the different images as you want. So which one did you like better? Do you like something like this, where we're getting some of those different pumpkins? I like the shape of this oak leaf. So we would cut it there, and then we could use these little bits for other parts of our card, or, you know, the other cards. So this would be about like that. And we just have a little strip greeting, so we're not trying to cover any of this up. So do you want to do A, the oak leaf, or B, this maple? And that's probably about how I would do the maple, is down here, so I get this bigger pumpkin. So A, oak leaf, B, maple, and we're going to layer that. I love this. I have lots of ideas for these leaves. Oh, so most of you like the maple. I do too, but I really like this shape, so I am going to be using it. Now, if we had cut the paper landscape, I think this leaf would have worked really well going this direction, because it would have given us more of the scene like this. So that's something to think about too when you're planning your cards. But I like to just kind of mull it over before I start cutting. But, you know, once you start cutting, things come together. So don't be afraid to just jump in and do it. Okay, now let me decide. Do we want to do a Cajun Craze background? And then I'm going to cut this piece. And I have a ton of stuff over here. So I like this piece right here. This goes this direction. And then we'll cut this and it goes on here. And then we need 2 strips. So I do happen to have a piece of early espresso. This is what I used on my pheasant card. And it's the two-tone, so you have the dark side is early espresso, and then you have a light. So we can use that, or I don't know if this one's long enough, but it'll give you an idea. Nope, I need it to be 4.5. So there's the pecan pie. And I kind of like the light side to break that up. But you could also use, let me see what else I have in here. I think I have, these are browns. I do have gray granite. So you could make it very subtle. Now in the sample, in the catalog, they used that metallic. And I don't want metallic on my card. So here's a piece of gray granite. So just so you know, that really blends in with this piece. But you could, it is just a little change to break it up. So there's our choices. Let me see if I have. And here is, so the reason why I am thinking not to pull in the Cajun Craze is because I want to use the Cajun Craze base. Now you could use the light side of Cajun Craze. So let's die cut this and then see what kind of strips we feel like kind of goes with it. And I don't think I'm going to use that pecan pie color at all. Let's see. We're going to do this one in just a second. I think I like that on green. So I may change some of these out. I don't know. I'm just doing that. And I'm going to put those off to the side, and we're going to work on this card. You would do gold glitter. That could be pretty. I do not have any gold glitter. So that could be very, very pretty. For sure. So use what you have. I don't buy a lot of the glitter papers or glimmers, or I just don't use the metallics as much, so I choose not to invest in those. But I do have some. I just don't think I have any gold. I think I gave it away. I don't use gold very often. If you had copper, that would really go as well. Okay, so I'm bringing in my cut and emboss, and I'm going to put this where I want it, or try to get it as close to, and I'm going to do a little die cutting here. So hopefully you can see what I'm doing. I do recommend that you tape this down, and I just use Post-it tape. Okay. Does make my thing look a little grimy. I stick it all over this. But I'm going to just tape that down and run it through. Okay, so now we have this, and I'm going to save this piece because I may want to cut these pumpkins out, or this set of pumpkins. You can always use different bits to tuck in for something else, so you don't have to throw it away. On my other cards, I actually use the other side to make strips for the inside of the card, so it's still a usable piece. All right, let me get this thing out of the way. I'll deal with that later. Okay, so here's our card and how it's going to build up. Let me put my die away before I lose it. You know what? I forgot to bring in green. Let me bring in the green as well. You might like the green strips as well. want to lose any of these, so I'm trying to put them away. Please bear with me. Okay, so here's our card. Let me... So I just have a big piece apparently of, this is that mossy meadow. So our card is built like this. Isn't that pretty? Now, if you don't want this big piece, because in the sample, the tree was really large. Maybe you want less of this to show. You can swap out that number 6. And no one's gonna know. So you can do it this way. Okay, this was for the number 6 card, but I'm just gonna swap it out. Okay, and we can still put in the strip, so you can do it this way. You can do it this way. Okay, we're just layering those pieces. So do you like it swapped? Do you like the smaller piece with this? Remember, we're going to add some strips of paper back here. This is just for a visual. There's 2 strips of paper. And I actually changed up the size. I did one that was, I did 4 and a half. So I might have to change it if I change out this paper. I did 4.5 this way. And then this is a 1/2 inch and 3/4. So I liked mine 2 different sizes, where the sample says to do 2 of the same size. So do you like it the smaller one, or did you like the original size? So here's the original. It goes like this, and then this, and then let me cut some strips of paper here while we're deciding. So I'm just going to cut them at 5, and then I'll trim them down. And I had 1 at 1/2 inch and 1 at 3/4. And I'm just going to do all the colors, and we'll decide. Just going to go ahead and cut this. And I'll trim it down, whatever we decide to use. I need a different piece of that. It's not long enough. Oops. Okay. I have all of my two-toned paper right next to me, so I can easily just grab it and start cutting. And it's okay if they're not exact. You might have strips of this laying around. The idea is you're just using up your little strips. I don't have any strips, so are you kind of getting an idea? We might be able to use these also on some of our other cards under our greetings, so they won't go to waste. Excuse me. So you like the bigger with the stripes. So the beauty of the two-toned is you can have 2 different colors. You can have the light color. You can have the original color is the dark side. So let's just get creative here. So I have it so that it just barely goes past. In the card sample, it has it a little bit longer. So you're going to make that size your preference. I did mine at 4.5. You could do 5 and make it really long. It's completely up to you. So there's green. I kind of like having 2 different colors. Let's see how the green looks. So this is just about how it will go. And then you put this piece on. So you're just layering it. So kind of get an idea. That's the green. And we've got the brown. We're going to vote. So start thinking about which one you like. So that's the espresso. These I'll have to trim down a little bit more. I don't think I like the pecan pie, but I might change my mind. I'm showing the light and the dark. Maybe it works. We have gray granite, which would be like a tone on tone. So there's the dark side, there's the light side. But our underneath, this is tones of gray granite. So that would be very monochromatic. And remember, some of them are longer than others. Excuse me. And then this, I don't know because I think it blends in with the base too much. Even if I flip it over to the light side. Sometimes I need to see how it looks. How are you guys when you do your creative process? Do you need to see all the options sometimes? So that looks very, very tone on tone. So what do you think? Which one was your favorite? There are 5 colors there. Anything pop out at you as that's what you loved the most? So this is probably the hardest thing, I think, when you are making your one sheet wonders, is kind of deciding how you want that final card to look and all the little elements that you can add in. So on the sample, they use that earthen metallic, and I just don't prefer the shiny look. So if you like shiny, feel free to substitute in any glimmer or metallic paper that you liked. And then it has an embossed greeting. I'm not going to do an embossed greeting. I'm just going to stamp on a piece of very vanilla, and we can make this a birthday card, or it can be a thank you. I did bring in some Simply Said greetings because I like these slim greetings. So I want something that's long and slim. And there are a few options in here, like the Grateful for You. So bring in whatever greetings you like. This also has a fun, scripty Thankful for You and many thanks. So both of these are cling. And so espresso brown, green. Okay. So I think these two are probably my top 2 picks as well. Just because it's a little bit of a contrast. This is okay for me, but I feel like it clashes a little bit with that pattern back there because it's a tone on tone pattern and it's gray granite. So I think this can go if that's what you have. It's not wrong. This to me is too tone on tone, and this. So I'm going to toss those to the side. We may still need them for some of our cards when we're layering. So now we just need to decide, A, do you want the green, or B, do you want espresso? And then we're going to pull this card together. I'm just looking for a very vanilla strip over here in my scraps. And I did stamp most of my greetings in gray granite or early espresso. So you don't have to have all the colors. I basically have them out just because I stamped a bunch of these leaves. So A, green, B, early espresso. And then we need to decide what kind of card do we want to make this. I made this one a happy birthday. I really think this would be great for a guy. And I have a fall birthday and I love pumpkins. So this, I think this would be a great thing for your stash. We could also do some thinking of you. If you have paper pumpkins, those stamp sets have wonderful greetings that are usually long. Let me see, what do I have nearby? Trying to see, I'm looking to see what else I have, so keep voting and commenting. And we will decide what kind of card we want. Oh, I think espresso's winning out. Okay, so I also brought in this one. This has some great thinking of you straight ones. And then this is our paper pumpkin we just got, and it has a nice thank you, a just a note. I do have all my paper pumpkin stamps next to me, but I don't really want to just go through all of them. So let's pick, because it's going to be a little strip that goes here, and it can be small. It can say, hello. It can say just a note. We have this, thinking of you. So let's see. I don't really feel like it says thinking of you, but oh, here, let's do this. Okay, are you guys ready to vote? Let's vote for this happy birthday or this thankful for you. And thankful for you, you can write whatever you want. This can become whatever you want on the inside. It can be just a hello, I've been thinking about you card. It could be a thank you for helping me card. And I think even thankful for you could be a birthday card on the inside. So that's my thoughts on it. So we're going to stamp an early espresso and espresso one out. So I'm going to toss that to the side because we may need those. So do you like the dark? Or do you like it mixed? Ooh, this is the dark side. I kind of like the variation. And I'm going to leave them a little bit long. I think they're a little bit... Actually, this one is 4.5. No, this one's 4 3/4 by one's 1/2 and one's 3/4. So they're a little bit longer than my other ones, but that's okay. Thankful for you. Oops. Oh, yikes. Sorry. I'm going to stamp both. I want to see how they look. And I'm sitting down, so, whoa, that's not even on. Let's try that again. Okay, let's stand up. I might have to use a stamp positioner. Good thing I have extra strips, right? Might need to start with one bigger and trim it down. Yeah, find a bigger one. Maybe. Here, let's try a wider strip, and then we'll just trim it down. Okay, so there's our, sorry about that. I forgot to put my do not disturb on. So a phone call came through. So there's Thankful for You. I just love that little scripty font. And it's nice and small, so you can tuck it in. Now I'm going to stamp the happy birthday. We may use it later, so I want you to see it. And you can see I accidentally spread my stamp a little bit because I pushed too hard. Let me try that again. It's wonderful that we have two sides of the paper, right? And I try not to overthink this too much. Sometimes when you get nervous and you overthink it, I have a hard time stamping. Okay. So, let's see. I'm going to grab my trimmer for this one because I have a hard time sometimes with these fonts and getting them straight. There we go. And the birthday, I'm just going to trim with my scissors. Okay. So let's start building our card. And I just have those pieces spread out a little bit. This is going to go this way. And then I'm going to do our greeting over here. So we have happy birthday. You get the idea. I'm all thumbs today. Or you could turn it this way a little bit. I kind of cut it to go this way, but so it's going to layer down here. Or we have the Thankful for You. And it's a little wider. I might trim that a little bit more. I see a lot of Thankful for You. There we go. Okay, what do you guys think? Isn't this a fun technique? So I'm just going to put that there. So that's about how our card's going to be. Now let's put it down. And remember, I forgot to bring over my Very Vanilla pieces for the inside. So I do have some Very Vanilla two-toned here. I may just grab that and cut it up quickly at the end. So let's build our card. Now, when you cut your paper, sometimes you'll get this little lip along here. And you can use your bone folder to go along that and smooth it down. Now remember, I loved this cut, so if you didn't want to use this other side, you could have done it, you know, differently. You could have just cut this to go by itself. Okay, so don't be afraid to change up the layouts of any One Sheet Wonder and how it's telling you to do it. Oops. I'm going to put my strips on. Oops. And I'm just spreading them out a little bit. And I am adhering everything flat. I'm going to pop up the greeting. Okay. Thank you. I think I turned it more than I did originally. That's okay. Maybe I'll put it over here. Let's do that. Well, like I said, sometimes the hardest part is deciding how you want something. That's okay. There we go. Okay, so this is our first card done. It is number 4 on my list, but that's okay. Sometimes doing the hardest card is the best way to start. So let's go back here and do number 1. It's a fairly simple card. Thank you for the love. So on this one, I chose the Mossy Meadow base. And we're just going to adhere this down and layer it up. And I'm going to stamp this one because I brought in a little tiny greeting because I want my paper to show. So depending on what kind of pattern you have, if you have an area you want to cover up, you may choose to have more layers than something like this, okay? But I'm just going to cover this up down here. I'm going to go in the corner here, and I'm going to layer these things like this. And you can have more than 2 if you want. It's completely up to you how you do it. Let's see, what else do I have in here? I do have a stamped off piece. Too much. So you can layer things like this and then add your greeting. Remember, I'm just kind of using that circle to hold my cluster there. And then you would pop this up or pop all of it up. So let's do that. going to put some adhesive on here, and I'm going to build this. Oops. I think my finger is sticking to it more than the paper. Okay, and I'm going to choose, So if you got the paper pumpkin, I really like this. There's a tiny hello and there's a just a note. Maybe I'll put just a note. This came with the Farmhouse Floral set that we just got from August. So use what you got. I love using the paper pumpkin greetings. And I'm going to continue to stamp my greetings in this early espresso. So this die and this one is from the Stylish Shapes. It has some banners and circles and squares in it. So again, you don't have to use die cuts. You can just, you could stamp these leaves and fussy cut them if you don't have a die cutting machine. And then you could just layer them on a little scrap piece. You know, it doesn't have to be a perfect circle. I'm going to put a little adhesive right along here. And let's see if I have. I'm going to pop this up. So I adhered my whole cluster together, and now I'm going to pop that up. And I use the regular dimensionals and the minis. Glue on my fingers and I feel like everything's sticking to me. That's okay, right? And I'm just going to put it down here in this corner. So there is my next card. Card 2. Remember, card 2 had that greeting up here. I'm just going to put it right in the middle, in the area that I want to kind of cover up. Trying to crease my card. And sometimes I like this tone-on-tone look. You can see this does have very vanilla, but it has kind of a texture in there that makes it look like linen. So very pretty. You don't need very much liquid glue on your patterned paper. Oops. Okay, now I want to do, oh, you guys want to do the happy birthday on this one? So I want to do a greeting right here. And I'm thinking I can pull in one of these strips and kind of layer it. Not the big one. Do this skinny strip. And layer this. Oops. Kind of offset it a little bit, and it's going to go here in the middle. Like that. This would make a great birthday card, right? Now I'm just going to kind of guess where I want this cut. So these can come together really quick if you plan it a little bit. And I did use the dark side. You could use the light side. Put that right there. I think I got it straight. And then my happy birthday. I think good enough. So, see how simple these can be? You don't have to do all the fancy things, but they are pretty. Okay, so number 3, again, this is a layered one. So I wanted to use this background. And I'm putting it on the Very Vanilla. So here's that beautiful background. Now this could be a portrait card or a landscape. And I'm going to use my scissors and I'm just going to cut a shape around this. Okay. So I'm just going to come in here and I'm going to start cutting. It's very organic. It doesn't have to be perfect. Okay. I just want this scene. So this is kind of what I envisioned when I was thinking of these cards. There's this little scene. Like I said, it can go this direction or it can go this way. And we can stack it. We can use this little piece. So if you want it more of an oval, remember I told you some of the examples have an oval. So we can just kind of stack some images. I don't know if I like that one on there. Maybe we'll use that on the inside. Let's try some of the smaller pumpkins. And in the example, in the catalog, see these trees are bigger. It's a bigger image, but see they used a greeting and then another image down there. And I think that this might be cut from the paper, or maybe that's the stamp. So you can use, whatever you like. So if you want it to be a more uniform shape, just do a die cut. But I kind of liked just the organic cutting. So what do you think? Do you like the Very Vanilla? Now I'm second guessing myself. Do you ever have an idea and then it's not coming together how you feel like it should? Oh, you know what? I wonder if we just stack, and I stamped these in all different colors, so. I'm just testing it out. Sometimes I gotta see how something looks. Okay, let me think about what greeting we want here. Oh, you know what? Oh, that's stamped on white. I was gonna say I do have a die cut with a greeting, but it's on white. So our greeting's gonna go like this. Oh, good idea, Maggie. So Maggie suggested that the critters from the Storybook Moments would go with this designer series paper, and you can color them. Yeah. That is a great idea. Let me see. I don't know if I have any scrap paper. So I don't have any pumpkins, but you could do some of these. This little guy has a radish, I think. Not sure if that's a flower. So if you wanted to add these in, you certainly could. You like it? Okay. I'm not sure which. I don't remember how I had it. I just like, so the idea is that you use this background and then you kind of make a cluster of things. So I'm trying to see. I really love this little cornfield thing, but maybe I need, let me see something here. I'm going to cut a large circle really quick and see if I like it behind there. Sometimes you just need a little help. I just feel like this doesn't give me enough. And the circle might be too big, but we could build on that circle. I like my little pumpkins here. And then we need a greeting. Our greeting's not going to be that long. Do you like building on the circle? Trim this a little bit different. Oh, the paper has them. Okay. I would have to look at that. So we could stack this a little bit. So the idea is you use the images from the paper, and then you're going to kind of create your little scene from it. just kind of trimming some of this stuff out. See how I want to use it. Okay. I'm going to stamp this. With the thanks. And we're going to go from there and build it and see where we end up. So on the sample in the catalog, again, it did some embossing on colored cardstock. And I am not embossing, I'm just stamping. So you can step it up and do that if you want to have that look. Making sure I have all my stamps in there. Okay, so we're just going to keep on trucking here. And I'm going to trim this down a little bit. I'm going to bring in my trimmer because I don't do well. Now you notice I left it a little long on this end because I want to layer something there. And we'll see how we like this green. And it might look... Maybe I'll like it better this way. Oops. And then we have our little thanks. Kind of cute. Okay. We got there. That one is too busy for you. I like it. It is busy. And if you look at the one in the catalog, to me, it has a lot of layers. So they cut a tree. They cut this little tree. There's some pumpkins in there, and that's why I'm not 100% sure where that came from, because the tree paper doesn't have the pumpkins. So I feel like it, but it doesn't look like this paper. That's why I said maybe it's the stamped, because the stamped looks like that. So it looks like they maybe took one of these and some of the leaves or something and put this on like that. But because I'm using the pumpkin paper, I didn't want to do that. So there are lots of layers on this one. Again, if you don't like it, don't cut your paper and just adhere it like you did for card number 1 or number 2. But I did want to show it to you. So I'm going to build it. I don't know how it's going to... Woo! Sorry. My lid went flying. We're just going to see. So this die, let me tell you about this die right here. It does not cut this edge. So I should have made my edge wider. It just cuts the middle out, so you can adjust how big it is. I'm just going to try to get a little bit of a glue here and there, and along this edge, so it'll stick. So I could have made the edge a little bit bigger. And we're just going to build it. So this was that Mossy Meadow two-toned. I'm going to adhere everything flat. You could nope, it's not going to move now. You could pop it up or do whichever you like. I'm just throwing it on here. I do like, I like how things are uneven. It doesn't bother me. So we've just taken all the images from our pretty patterned paper and we've layered them with a greeting. So if it's not for you, skip that and don't cut it. Okay, so this would be card 5. And the way these pieces are supposed to work, smooth that edge, is this goes on top. And then you have these two pieces staggered and you cut them into banners. So that's right here in the catalog. And I feel like this, if you put it toward the middle, maybe it will show more. I just felt like it covered up too much of my pretty pattern. So I cut these down. And then I used the extra pieces in the inside of my card. So this is 1.5. So I'm going to cut, one piece at, let me see my card. I think I cut one piece at 3/4 and one piece at 1/2. And I used those other pieces on the inside. So this is just going to give me a little sliver of a piece, but that's okay. We can still reuse it. And then this one, you can cut, just going to cut it in half. So these are extra. Excuse me. If you don't like 2, so it has it staggered like this. And I trimmed this one a little skinnier than I did on my other card. If you don't like that, just use 1, okay? It's just a design element. Actually, let me bring back in that bigger piece. So these are both 3/4. And then it had a little cluster. So you could do this. I might add some darker coloring to this. Or you could, I still have that little piece of paper. You could cut something out of there. Or you can just add a greeting, like a circle with a greeting on it. Okay? And kind of let that still show. So let me tell you about this really quick. I used my Cajun Craze pencil and I added color. So let me pull one in that I haven't colored. So I added some color like this, and you can do as dark as you want. These are just the watercolor pencils. And then I used a blender pen. These come in a pack of 3. Oops. Sorry about that. So they come like this. It is like an alcohol solution on the inside. And it's clear. And you just go over your pencil and it smooths out the lines. Don't overwork it because it will make your paper pill. And then to clean your brush, you just wipe it off on scrap until it's clear. The ends of your brush can stain. It's not going to hurt anything. So I am going to add a little bit darker here on my pumpkins. And you'll notice everything's kind of the same color. So you can change it up. If you're using a different paper and you want these pumpkins on there, you can do whatever color you want. And then I'm just going to smooth that out again. So let's see. And the watercolor pencil does look different. It is going to look different. If you wanted to use your ink pad and add color, you could do that as well. Let me show you that really quick. So here's my Cajun Craze pad. Let me get a different image. You can use this blender brush and your ink and apply it like that. It might not look as smooth as the pencil. Okay. And you just keep adding. It's almost like watercoloring, but the solution is a little bit different. And I'm kind of hurrying, so mine doesn't look exactly how I would probably want it, but the color fades as it dilutes it out. So you can also do that. And again, to get it clean, you just rub it out on a piece of scrap paper. So those are the 2 options for adding some color. Do you like the pumpkin with it? Or do you think it would look just better like, well, that looks too plain to me. What do you think? Or leave it like this and add a greeting. So while you're deciding, I'm going to go ahead and adhere this down. Again, if you don't like the banners, use those for the inside pieces and just make this with a simple greeting. So now on the pheasant card, I used the trees from Scenic Adventure. So to me, they looked very similar to the trees on that patterned paper. And to banner these, I'm just going to snip about the middle, and then I cut in from each corner. Now you could use some of those leaves on this one if you wanted. And you can add color to these as well. You pull in. Now, we don't have a Mossy Meadow pencil, but we do have an Old Olive. And you can color right over top of your stamped image like this. And add some green to this Cajun Craze leaf. Like that. And then we can add this. And it doesn't have to be a circle. It doesn't have to be that big. It is a pattern circle. So it's actually this pattern that they pulled in with that brown crosshatch or grid. I guess that would be a grid. So you can see they put leaves along here and then stamped a greeting on a circle. So I just had a plain circle. I think I might have a smaller one. I'm not sure. Somewhere. I don't know where I laid my shapes. I have too many things on my desk. So what do you guys think? Let me know some of your thoughts on that while I look for my other shapes. I had more circles and things. Oh, there they are. There they are. So I am looking for, it looks like I have a bigger, oh, I have a square. If I like the square. It's the same size. Now, I do have some basic gray, and even though that is not listed, I think that could go if you wanted that color. What do you think? What are your thoughts on that? I was thinking of doing just a note on this, and it is a stacked, so we could do that. Any thoughts on finishing it up? So let me grab out I'm going to go ahead and stamp my greeting here, and we'll see how it fits on. I'm going to use that early espresso. Okay. So I'm going to do these about the middle so that the pumpkins show on either side. You like it? Okay, great. On to here. So again, you could pop these up. You could, you know, pop up some elements. I may do my circle. I'm going to do my banners flat. Now, something I did, let me show you a little thing. I will use, I know I put adhesive on this, but I'm going to just lay it right there for a second. So to give a little definition, I tapped my edge. Of course, before I put adhesive on, I tapped my edge into my ink pad, and it just puts a little ink on there, and hopefully you can see that on the camera. It just gives a little bit of definition to that edge so that you can see the different strips, because these are tone on tone. And I'm going to pop this one up. It is feeling like fall here, but next week it's going to be back to summer. So you can put it off to the side. You can put this wherever you want. Kind of like it right there about the middle. And then I'm going to put these on, but I will need a dimensional on the top part of this one because it hangs off. And I'm not going to tuck them behind. I'm going to put them beside this. So I just, well, I take the backing off. There we go. Let's do a little mini on this one. And then you can always tuck. I feel like I need a third one. So let's see what I have in here. I do have this one. Or, oh, you know what I have? I have these. And I have them in, this is Cajun Craze, and I have Mossy Meadow, and then I have the light Mossy Meadow. I think I like that. Now I did do some of these little leaves in the Berry Vanilla, and I think you could color them. There we go. I like it. Okay, we have one card left, and it's completely neutral. So you don't have to make it fall. I mean, I'm putting it on Cajun Craze, but you could do whatever you want on this. So the catalog shows it like this, with a little acorn and some oak leaves and some ribbon and a greeting. And you can do it portrait, or like on this one, I had a bigger greeting that I wanted, so I did it as a landscape. But I'm thinking I want to do some of these pumpkins that I colored. No, there it is. And I'm going to color this. just like I did. So if you like your pumpkins, maybe you want something that's not Cajun Craze, you know, like you see the cream colored pumpkins or the greens. I am just going to add some color. And again, go in as dark as you like. We're going to smear that around with that blender pen. So you can start light if you want and then darken it. I'm trying to do mine quickly, so it's probably not going to come out as perfect as I want. That's okay. Sometimes we just need a quick card and it's okay to do things quickly. And you can come back in. Now on this, I just very lightly went over this, you know, corn. And then for my leaves, I used Old Olive. You can add a little gray underneath if you want it to be really dark. And you don't have to blend everything. So if you just want something to be pencil, you can leave it as is. And early espresso. And there might be some pecan pie. That might be why that looks darker. So let's put some of that on there just to see. And be careful. So the end of this pencil to me looks like Cajun Craze. And earlier I grabbed it and, well, it isn't. So just make sure you read your pencils. And then do a little Cajun Craze on my leaves here. I'm not worried about if it's perfect. Okay. So I was just trying to read the comments and catch up. So I'm just using that blender pen. And any areas you want to be light, just kind of be careful when you're pulling the color because it just smears that pencil. So if you want something to be lighter, be gentle. Kind of go around it at first and get that color kind of rubbing off and then come into where you want the light parts. Now let me see how I cleaned that off, and the tip is stained, but it is clean. And then I'm going to come into that green. Again, you don't have to do everything. It's up to you. So there is a couple of my pumpkin clusters. And I'm just going to maybe layer these. I don't know. What do you think? Do I need 2 or 1? And I'm trying to think of what greeting I want. What have we not done? Now, this does have an Autumn Wishes. It has Gather, many thanks from the Gathering Moments is what I used on the other card. Blessed to have you in my life. That is a big stamp. You can kind of see how big these are. Grateful for you is smaller. The other one had that scripty thankful for you. Or we can pull in a thank you from here. I like the smaller greetings. Oh, Christmas is 50% off already? Oh, I do like to stock up on my things, but this year I am, I feel like I have all the decorations I need. So I am actually going to refrain from shopping and buying more things. So let's finish up our one card. We've got one card left. And I'm bringing in a strip because I just want to do a little strip greeting. So what do you think? 2 pumpkins. We could do it a pumpkin here and a pumpkin here. And then I did do some of these. You think one, Deb? So one with a little greeting. So you could do this. I'm just going to color here for a second while we decide. You like, a lot of people like 2. So if you don't want 2 pumpkins, which you could do some of these leaves. And you notice I am layering Old Olive and Cajun Craze to make it look like it's turning. Oh, and you know what color? I have some crushed curry here as well. So you could bring in that color. Put that on my little acorns. Let me grab my pecan pie. Now we are going to smear those colors around, so you don't have to add a lot of color. It will move. I'm just adding more where I know I want it to be dark. Okay. I honestly don't know what the right answer is, 2 or 1. I don't know that there is a right answer. I think either works. Depends on how busy you want it. So I'm going to start with this lighter down here. I feel like these blender pens are just magic. So we can even have the oak leaf. We could have these layered together. I have a hard time layering die cuts like this because I don't want to cover up anything. So you could have your greeting coming through and then your die cuts around the greeting. I don't know if I like this one. Okay, so let me stamp my greeting because then I might change my mind. Let's make this a thank you card. It's kind of a short greeting. So again, you could do this way. And then you have a little more room to layer. Oh, I kind of like that. There we go. I think it's going to be landscape. And I'm going to take my thank you. Now I'm going to stamp this thank you in gray granite, just so that it's a little lighter. There we go. So you don't always have to use dark greetings. And I did a little fancy cut. And I want this to match, so I'm going to line this up like that. And I'm going to cut along the edge. So there's your little tip for getting your edges if you want them to look the same. They don't have to look the same. There we go. What do you guys think? I hope you've had fun doing this. And I hope if you didn't craft along with me today, which sometimes it's hard to do that, I hope you give this a try. This paper is gorgeous. It really doesn't need any layers. You could just leave it as is. So this just gives a little pop in the background. And if you don't like to use one, keep it simple. It's okay to do that. I'm going to layer that a little bit right there. And then I'm going to put my thank you on dimensionals. So don't forget to do the inside of your cards. I am going to match mine so that it is very vanilla, and I'm just going to cut one really quick and we're going to be finished up here. So one sheet wonders can be really quick. You can keep them really, really simple, or you can have fun and just step them up a little bit. I'm choosing to just kind of stick mine right there in the middle. You can embellish this. I do not have the embellishments that go with the set, they are on the way, but you can choose any color. So anything that would have greens or gray granites, or even we have those basic shapes. Let me grab those. Maybe those would be cute. We have, these are called neutral matte dots. So look, there we go. I do have something that'll match. And you can use, this has very vanilla. It has, of course I don't have the colors written down. So there's white, black, very vanilla. And I'm not sure if that's crumb cake, but it could definitely go. So let's add a little embellishment to this. You could add these to any of them. Let's add some dots in here. I don't like that one. Let's put it over here. Okay. So, whatever embellishments you have fun with it. Add some. Okay, so I'm just going to grab, this is very vanilla two-toned, so you could use the light or the dark. Let's see what I have it cut at. I'm going to cut it at 4. Put that in my strip file. And I'm going to do 4 and 5 1/4. I'll just cut a couple of them. So, you want to make sure that you have them for all of your pieces. If you don't like this dark side, flip it over and use the light. Kind of like the light better. And remember those strips that we had. Okay, I'm just going to adhere one here and put it on the inside. Now, if you're doing something on anything that you've made portrait, make sure that you do your stamping on the inside the same direction. So this one can go either way. It can go portrait or landscape. And I like this two-toned. It's a little bit thinner than our dyed cardstock. So if you're worried about weight or something on your cards, this would make great layers. Use my bone folder along that edge to smooth where I cut it. There we go. And even on these, I do, here, I'll do one this direction. I even put them on the inside of my card bases that are the same color that wouldn't necessarily need a layer. I like to add a layer just to add a little bit of weight to that inside. Doesn't have to be a lot. And that way, if you have stamped on this layer, you can do your stamping before you adhere it to your card base. There we go. So what did you think? Give me some hearts if you enjoyed this. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. And those are all in the catalog on that page 42. And it has lots of techniques showed here. Like here, these leaves are cut from the patterned paper. This is just a large shape. Again, that large tree die I have on the way. I don't have it yet. You can color your designer series paper. You can use a blending brush and add a color over top and really change the look. you can just layer some of those patterns. Now this actually, it says dress up your patterned paper with Stampin' Blend. So they added in extra lines. So we could have done that here by coloring in the diamond or even stamping on it. You're just kind of altering your designer series paper. This was using the images to layer. Okay, and this has a lot of different patterns on it. So lots of different things. Oh, thank you for the love. Thank you, thank you. I love this paper as well. You can grab it now in my online store. 4 and 5 are your favorite. These are mine too. I really like layers. I don't always like the tone on like how we layered 2 patterns together, but I do think it works. It adds some depth, and you could have popped this up if you wanted to add more dimension. You could have made this part of this cluster and popped it all up. So just have fun with your designer series paper. You can use this with this cutting method with any patterns you have. And if you don't have a lot to dress things up, you can use stickers or the ephemera packs. You can also just cut greetings and use I could have used the other side of this with those pumpkin patterns and just made a smaller, you know, it shows more of your card base. So have fun mixing and matching your colored bases and using your designer series paper in a different way. So thank you all for joining me for this One Sheet Wonder. You can shop for Stampin' Up! Products in my online store at bethroy.stampinup.net. Thank you all. Take care. And I'll see you Tuesday the 9th for a walkthrough of the catalog. And I'll show you some of my favorites. Take care. Have a great weekend, and I'll see you soon. Bye.